That is a tasty beverage. Welcome back to Sippin With Sin, the podcast where we talk about stuff and things and stuff that are very important to all. Everybody, the entire universe. Life forms we don't know that exist yet. It's important to them. It's true. It's facts. It's science. It's the number one podcast about stuff and things that are important to all. It's just science. It's just analytics. But welcome back. Yet another week. We appreciate you being here. Hope you're doing wonderful. We got a fun episode. But I must say, to start with, I do feel a tiny bit of a void this week going into this episode because I don't have Last of Us. And I feel a piece of my soul missing because I don't have Last of Us. But I'm sure we'll talk about that. So, without further ado, let's bring back the one, the only, Mr. Dreadlock himself, Christian.
Hello, everyone. It's good to be back for another episode. And this week we got some things to talk about.
We do got some things to talk about. Do you miss part of your soul with no Last of Us this week? Like, the last 9 weeks have been literally consumed with it. And now, I don't know.
I will say it is definitely different, but I'm watching some shows that are new to me right now. So that's filling the void right now. And the shows are pretty good so far.
So, AKA, he's watching porn. Got it. Understood. Porn. Right? Porn.
No, some things just don't hold merit, and porn's definitely one of those things.
So, porn. Understood.
My goodness.
All right. So, what we'd like to do to start every episode is we'd like to talk about what we've been watching, reading, listening to, playing this past week. So, let's get into that. I'll start. I'm going to say it's not been a very productive week as far as all that. I have tried some new stuff. I've had internet issues again. This has been an ongoing struggle, so that's been just awful. It puts a wrench in all plans. As far as my streaming and like my main job and stuff like that goes, it's been screwing all that up. But other than that, I've played some Fortnite. New season's fun. Been enjoying playing that with the homies and everything. Shout out to H. Play with H and them a lot. And it's a good time. We've been doing that. We've been watching some of the old WrestleManias just in passing to kind of pass the time. And I finished You. We finished You. I sound like I was about to be in a rap song right there. You. Anyways, we finished that. And I don't think we're going to go over because I don't know. Have you watched it yet?
Yes, I did watch it, yeah.
You've watched all of this season?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, not this episode because we have other stuff planned, but maybe in the next episode or so, we'll do a breakdown of You. I will say quick thoughts. It's one of the better seasons I felt like for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually enjoyed this one a little more than some of the previous ones. But I hope. Do we know if there's another season?
From what I understand, there is not another season listed right now, but I mean, I would imagine they would try as long as Penn Badgley still wants to do it.
I don't know. They kind of, well, we'll talk about it later. It was, yeah, watch it if you haven't already. Think of like a Dexter-ish style show. A little more lovey-dovey and I need you kind of thing. I don't know, but it's okay. It's worth a watch. Did that. And then I have been prepping and anxiously waiting. I watched very little, but a tiny bit of people playing Diablo for closed beta last weekend. And I'm going to play the open beta this week, and I'm super excited for that. And then Resident Evil 4 comes out tomorrow, and I'm pretty stoked for it. But something else I wanted to talk about that we did this week. So in every episode, we talk about where I stream, all that stuff. There's been a site that has been going around and people have been talking about for a little bit, couple months or so. And I will say there's red flags to it and stuff that I'm not super amped up on. But in my line of work, you have to like secure your branding and stuff like that. And anytime you can potentially funnel people like kind of along our journey through Mixer, through Facebook, through whatever, we've picked up people here and there, and it forms your community and you continue to grow and build it. And so with all that being said, I decided to finally make a Kick account, kick.com. It's a streaming site. The UI is pretty much mirror image of Twitch. A lot of the features, it's in beta. A lot of the features are actually working really well. The site seems very stable as far as streaming. I've done a couple streams over there. I will say one thing that has been something I've been saying over and over again. I get old school Mixer vibes, like early Mixer. I'm getting the vibes of that, kind of like how everybody's going around and how people are hanging out. It could be because there's a lot of old Mixer streamers that are trying it out. The one big thing that Kick is really offering, and that is something that's pretty much unheard of in the industry, is they're doing a 95% to 5% split with creators. So the creator gets 95% of the sub revenue, which is something that no platform really does. So that's nice and very beneficial to creators and helps them out a lot. It's been interesting so far. One thing about Kick, so it's funded by stake.com. And stake.com, for those that don't know, is actually an online casino. I feel like they're worth like $1 billion or something like that. I don't know the exact net worth, but I believe it's in the billion, 1 billion or maybe more. So they have money, and they offer like Kick has online gambling, obviously, which is promotion for Stake, and I'm sure they use all that. And I don't know how that works. I never got into that aspect of the content creation, but it's a thing. They've gotten such streamers as Aiden Ross and Trainwrecks TV and others that have come over. I think Trainwrecks is actually like a co-founder or investor or something with the site. So we'll see how it goes. We've been kind of just testing out with the community, seeing what everybody thinks, seeing how everybody feels about it. The vibe's been cool. The features have been cool so far. At the time of recording this, I think the co-founder of Stake and Kick announced that the mobile app, which was originally delayed, will be coming out tomorrow. So I'm very curious to see like what viewership is over there with the mobile app, because right now it's just pretty much all PC. And even then, there's still good numbers, like actually really good numbers. I would say probably better than Facebook right now. I don't know YouTube's like analytics, but it's interesting. We'll see how it goes. I don't know how sustainable it is with that 95-5 split. I know they're getting a lot of the money off of the gambling revenue and stuff like that. So we'll see kind of how this goes. I'm wondering, I've seen someone talk about it. I'm wondering if eventually this site will get built up. They'll get the features, get it rolling, get it kind of people in, traffic, and then maybe they'll sell it to somebody. You know, maybe somebody will take over and take that side of the streaming. Kind of like, Twitch has like Amazon and stuff like that. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's gonna be interesting. But
I mean, I think that just by hearing it and with the name that it has, because it's the same as Kick, like the messaging app that was popular, like a decade ago. I think that one was KIK, Kick, and with the split that they have right now and what they're doing, it looks like they're just trying to build up like a customer base essentially. So they need enough creators on there. They need enough people viewing the creators on there. So it'll be like that for a little while. And I think that in about a year or two, if it even takes that long, they'll definitely sell that, make some changes, change the app around and stuff. But there's a lot of companies like that trying to take on Twitch, trying to take on Discord, make money doing that type of thing. So yeah, man, is that sustainable what they're doing right now? Absolutely not. But that's the point, right? Like you can afford to lose a little money on the front end to get people rolling in. And if it works and you get people rolling in, then you're good to do other shit. So yeah, man, I mean,
we'll see
like I
what
said, I don't
happens
know
with
this
it. It's gonna
company.
be interesting. When I first heard about it, they're supposed to be more lenient on like TOS and stuff. And I've heard of like people playing like shows. Like I saw someone was just playing Game of Thrones. I was like, well, that shit's not gonna fly. I was told people were doing like UFC fights on there and like Super Bowl. I'm like, see, like that's like copyright no-nos. Like I just know that's gonna get hit. So I don't know how all that will play in the long term. I'm interested to see how it goes. It's kind of like a nothing to lose for me situation. May make some money to help. This is what I do for a living, so that may help. Or, like I said, maybe we'll recruit a few more people to join the community. And if so, then awesome. It's kind of like just have another social media if it goes down. If it blows up, cool, we're there. Like, we'll see how it is. But, I mean, it's not like I'm going all in on it. I'm just kind of, we're going to be doing some streams over there. We're going to be hanging out and doing our thing, seeing what's up. Can't hurt, right? Never hurt to dabble. Who knows? We may record a podcast episode over there. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see how things go. It's kind of like the Wild West right now, though. Like, I just looking through some of the categories, I'm like, geez, which could be obviously this. It's kind of hard to complain or compare Justin TV to it because things were so different back then compared to now on like hot tub streams and like the shit that people do. Because then it was more simpler times. Now content has changed and streaming has changed so much. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes though. So it should be interesting. We did talk about Facebook. I know Facebook laid off people. Twitch recently laid off 400 people, I believe. This is most likely due to the need for more people during the pandemic with all the business and everything, you know, everybody being home and needing more people to run stuff. So I'm assuming it has to go with that. The CEO of Twitch also recently stepped down. So I'm not sure what correlation that has to do with anything. I haven't done a lot of research on it, but it's interesting news to come through. There has been a rumor I've been seeing. I haven't seen anything confirmed from Facebook, and I personally haven't seen it, but people are saying there's a thing called Path for Partner for Facebook Gaming, and that's been removed. I don't know if it's true or not. I have no clue. Facebook has been very silent on a lot of stuff, and I feel like there's a lot of issues and a lot of this not good stuff happening right now over there. Just the whole economy of Facebook gaming, a lot of it could be after layoffs and everything, thanks to the metaverse is not doing what they thought it would do. So I don't know. It's interesting start to the year as far as the content creation streaming side of things. YouTube's still doing YouTube things. It's solid. Twitch is still trucking along. I don't know. The competition's good though. We do need more sites like Mixer and like hopefully Kick and stuff that will push these companies like Twitch and YouTube to be better, to make better innovations, to, you know, improve the overall quality of everything. Because that's how we ultimately get like better stuff. And it needs to evolve. So hopefully that'll continue to happen. But that's what I've been into this week. Very exciting. I know, right? Super awesome. I did listen to a new album though, Christian. We listened to that on stream. We listened to the new Gideon album.
Nice.
Dude, it's heavy as balls. Pretty much. There was one song that had like a nice melodic lead in it. Bro, it slapped. I had to put it on my playlist. I really liked it.
I mean, I'm already sold on that. Dude. Plus it's Gideon, so I'm in.
The name of the song, just so you know, the new album is... But it was fun checking out. More Power, More Pain is the name of the new album. The song is called If You Love Me, Let Me Go. And it was by far my favorite song of the album. Nice little melody with the heaviness on it. I was like, yeah, this is my kind of stuff. But what have you been into this past week?
Man, so for me this week, I was feeling a bit of the void from not being able to watch Last of Us and really talk about it so much. So I started watching 2 new shows to fill the void of just one show that we finished. And one of the shows is brand new to Netflix. Actually, it's a Korean show. It's like a drama revenge series, and it's called The Glory. And The Glory, so far, I've only watched 2 episodes. But
wait, you said it's a Korean show?
Mm-hmm.
I actually posted for show recommendations on Twitter yesterday or the day before, and someone posted The Glory, and I was like, I don't know what that is. And I asked for explanation, but I haven't heard back.
Well, to give you that explanation, it is a Korean-based revenge drama. And essentially, in a nutshell, there's a character that goes to high school, and she is getting just vigorously bullied. And the ringleader for this ring of bullies is this one girl, and they bully this chick so much, dude. Like they take a hot curling iron and like burn her with it constantly. They beat her up, like assault her, obviously. Like there's a lot going on, and it's kind of crazy. They don't show everything, but they show enough for you to get exactly what's going on. And they do it so much so to the point to where she just drops out of school and has to get a GED later on, and her life's goal is to essentially get revenge on all of them, but especially the main girl, who is her absolute bully. And it's taken some crazy turns. Like I said, I'm only on episode 2. It's taken some crazy turns. I definitely want to watch more of this show and see exactly where it's going, and how the characters evolve. And you see a lot. It's like a flashback to the childhood and what happened, and then you skip to now, and it shows you the life of what this girl has been doing up until now. So it's really good. And I don't want to ruin anything. Like, I just want to give you that much so that you're interested enough, hopefully, to check it out. I think you can watch it in English if you want to, but I'm just watching it in its original language, so I'm reading the subtitles, and I'm enjoying it, man. And then the other show that I'm watching is an old show, but it's new to me because I never actually watched it, and it's The Wire. I'm watching that on HBO Max, and I mean, what can I say about The Wire that hasn't already been said? I'm only on the first season. I'm just going through it. I haven't binged the show in a while, but I'm binging the crap out of The Wire right now. I really, really enjoy it. I like the characters. I like the story. I like the writing a lot. The writing in a show, in any media that you watch, dude, the writing is so important. And this show is written very well, at least so far. And I'm loving what I'm seeing. And there's a lot of actors in here that I know and love from other shows, other series, other movies that got their start here. Like that started really being actors in the show. Idris Elba's one. And he's the one that's on my mind right now because I literally just saw him when I was watching the show. But like, he's in it, and dude, just to see a show like this is great. So that's what I'm watching right now. I haven't had a lot of time to read much of anything this week. I've been busy doing other stuff. But I am looking at a book that I just received from a person I follow on Instagram. And their name is, I think, KOTOR Inc., and it's an artist. And I just picked up their art book here. So, I mean, I know if you guys aren't watching and you're listening, I'm kind of flipping through right now to show you kind of like what art style this dude has. And he does some pretty sick stuff, man. So I'm going to definitely use this as motivation to start doing more sketches for myself here soon, and some character design I got coming up. So yeah, man, that's what I've been doing as far as watching stuff this week and looking at this art book I just received today. Nice. And the time of this recording, tomorrow is Resident Evil 4 day. We also get the release of John Wick Chapter 4. So there's a lot of 4s coming out this week, but I'm definitely looking forward to doing that. I'm going to sink some time into Resident Evil. And speaking of which, I think we have something else that we're going to talk about today that I'll let you lead us into.
Before we get into that, isn't John Wick getting like really good reviews?
It is very much awesome. So.
I love the missus hates John Wick because she's not a Keanu Reeves fan, which just drives me nuts. I know, mm-hmm. I know. And I keep trying to sell her on the John Wick movies, and she'll watch them, and she's like, I don't like it. It's awful. I'm like, it slaps me in the face because I love them so freaking much. I really do. So I'm excited for 4. Another movie that got a really good review that surprised me that doesn't come out until next month is Evil Dead Rise. I think it's getting pretty good reviews, which is, I'm not going to lie, it's giving me tingles in my nether region, getting me excited a little bit.
Yeah, man, I've been pushing for this movie for a long time, and as soon as they changed the release for it, because it was supposed to be an HBO Max, original, they were going to dump it on the streaming service, and as soon as they switched that to being a theater release, I was like, obviously they got something on their hands here that they know they're going to make some money off of, and this is something that we should be paying attention to. And I think that I was right. Here we are.
I'm excited for it. So 2 good movies coming out. And yeah. Have you started Mando yet?
I started Mando, yes. I did start it.
We'll have to do like a quick catch up on that soon, possibly, and get going.
Sure. Sure.
And then we need to do You Breakdown and other stuff. But what we have planned for today, that is going to be the meat and potatoes, the filler, the substitute for The Last of Us. I know you're sad just like the rest of us. But what we have today is we're going to be talking about Resident Evil games in the Resident Evil franchise because, like Christian said, Resident Evil 4 comes out tomorrow, the remake. And it got us in the spirit to talk about some Resident Evil, some survival horror games, some goodness that's been in our life since, I believe, 1996?
96.
Is it 96 when the first one came out? Some goodness, some iconic moments, iconic games. Honestly, one of my favorite franchises out there, gaming-wise. We won't speak of the movies because you might as well just... Yeah, that's the movies. We're not going to talk about... God. I wish I could try to just be like, glasses push up. They're good, but they're not. They're really not. They've tried shows, and So we're just going to go to what is good, and that's the games. And apparently, when looking at the games, there's a shitload of games I didn't know about.
31 in total, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, when I'm thinking about, I think through, we're currently on Resident Evil 8 as far as, like, chronological order, which technically there's 9 because you have 0, so forth. If you go that order. Not counting remakes, not counting spin-off stuff, all that. But there's 31 freaking games. How nuts is that? That's a lot of damn games. Is there a franchise that has more games?
Yeah. Final Fantasy is Mario.
Final Fantasy's
Legend
only
of
up to like
Zelda.
16.
Well, if you take the remakes out, then yeah, it's on par, dude. Like, because the thing about Final Fantasy and Super Mario and all that is they're not a continuing story. It's different shit each game, but like, yeah, if you're counting it as a franchise, they have so many. So yeah, man, there's plenty of those. Call of Duty, how many Call of Duty games are there right now? There's so many.
There's not 31. 31 is a lot of games.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of games. There's games. Where's the list? We have a list. There's games that...
They had a game coming out like once a year from like 1998 all the way to about 2006, 17? I think from 1998 to 2017, there was a Resident Evil game coming out every year.
Like, you have games like Resident Evil Gaiden, Resident Evil Survivor 2, Resident Evil Survivor, Resident Evil Deadly Silence, Umbrella Chronicles, Genesis, Darkside Chronicles, The Mercenaries 3D, Revelations, Operation Raccoon City, Revelations 2, Umbrella Corps. There's a lot of stuff. It's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy to think about.
Yeah.
But what we are going to do
don't
today...
forget, like, half of those are spin-off games, too.
Yeah.
So, like you said with Final Fantasy, Legend of Zelda, Super Mario, like, all of those games, even Yoshi's Island, Kirby, all those games, like, they have so many coming out because they cater to a very specific audience. Typically, when you have a game that has, like, several coming out, the audience that they're catering to is typically younger. I think the oldest audience that gets catered to is, like, our audience for the survival horror type games. And then you have the people who play, like yourself, who play, FPS games. You get all the Call of Duties, all the Battlefields and stuff like that. And then now it's changed again to where you're getting a bunch of, like, Battle Royale type games, the BRs, I guess you guys call them. And you're getting stuff like Fortnite. You're getting all that stuff. So, yeah, man, they definitely start to every couple of years. You get games like that. Because remember, for a while, the games to go to were the Halo games, right? Halo 1, 2, 3. When those were coming out, that was like the end all be all for FPS type games. Then Call of Duty started coming up. You had people who diverted to Battlefield because they wanted to do something that was different but close enough to what they were already doing, where they'd have to relearn how to play the game. So, I mean, I get it, dude. I totally get it. But, yeah, like I said, from 1998 all the way to 2017, there was a Resident Evil game that came out every year, sometimes twice a year, a new game. That's insanity. So, if you allow me to go down the list of the 31 games.
Yeah, go for it.
Really quickly, including the year.
Full list. It's insane, though. That's a hell of a franchise. I wonder how much total money Capcom has brought in off of the Resident Evil franchise. I mean, it has to be bringing in to go since 96. This is
You should
2023.
look that up while I'm explaining, or not explaining, but while I'm going down the list, just to see, but to start it so we can get that part, done. First Resident Evil 1, 1996, Resident Evil 2, 1998, Resident Evil 3, that's 99. Then you have Resident Evil Survivors 2000, Code Veronica is in 2000 as well. Then you have Survivor 2 that you were mentioning earlier, that's 2001. Resident Evil Gaiden, that's also 2001. Then you got the Resident Evil remake for the first one. That's '02 on the GameCube. Then you got Resident Evil Zero. That's 2002. Dead Aim 2003. Missions 2003. Resident Evil Outbreak is also in 2003. So in 2003 alone, you get what, 4 games? Brand new games coming out. Like that's insane to me, dude. That's insane. Then after Outbreak, you have Outbreak File 2, which is more so like, extra stuff and DLC for the game. That came out in '04. Then you had Resident Evil 4, a lot of people's favorite. That came out in '05. I remember that actually when that released. I think I was 15 when that came out. Then you had Resident Evil Deadly Silence, which I actually never heard of. That I remember. That was '06. Then you had The Umbrella Chronicles. I remember that one. That was '07. You had Genesis, which I don't remember. That was in 2008. Resident Evil 5, that came out in '09. Then you had Dark Side Chronicles, also '09. The Mercenaries was 2011. So I think I was wrong on my initial estimate. You had a game coming out every year up until 2009. Because, like I said, in 2011, you had Mercenaries 3D, and that was on the 3DS. So that was its own little thing. It was just a Mercenaries mode. There was no storyline to the game. And I remember playing that on the 3DS. Revelations, that came out in 2012. Raccoon City, Operation Raccoon City, that came out in 2012 as well. That game was trash. That game was fantastic. Awful. God. Resident Evil 6, we all know, came out in 2012 as well. Then you had Resident Evil Revelations 2. That was 2015 for the Wii. Umbrella Corps, which is 2016. Resident Evil 7, 2017. Resident Evil 2, the remake, which was in 2019. I remember that. You had the remake for 3 that came out in 2020. And the last 2, Resident Evil Village, came out in 2021. And then Resident Evil 4 comes out tomorrow, which is 2023. So there we are. All 31 games listed in order of release. Now, for the rest of the show, essentially, we are going to be counting down or up our personal top 10 favorite Resident Evil games. My list does include a remake here and there. I don't know about yours, Sin. But if you want to start us off
before
with
we do
your
that,
list,
I looked it up while you were talking about it. Resident Evil is Capcom's best-selling franchise with 135 million copies sold worldwide as of December 2022, and is the best-selling horror game series. So
makes a lot of sense.
It has made a ton of money for them. Obviously, that's why there's games coming out all the time. Yeah, we can start. So.
Are you going to count down from 1 to 10, or are you counting up 10 to 1?
I don't know. It's a little more suspenseful if we go up, right? Start at the bottom?
I think so.
All right, well, let's start at 10.
All right.
So
tell us, Sin, what is your number 10 favorite Resident Evil game?
Or do we start with honorable mentions? Or maybe we'll do honorable mentions after the fact.
Do you have honorable mentions?
There's 2 that, there's one. Okay, I do have an honorable mention I can say right now. There's another one that I'm debating if it makes it in or not. Do you want me to say my honorable mention?
Yeah, please.
Resident Evil 0.
Okay.
The reason it is an honorable mention and not potentially in my top 10 is because I've never fully played the game. I didn't have a GameCube, so I didn't get to play it there. I know it's now on Xbox and stuff, and your boy's just been lazy and everything else. My backlog's been too much. I haven't got to play it. I need to play it really bad because I do want to go through it. I've heard it's good. I just have never got to experience it myself. So it goes in the backlog for that, or in the honorable mention for that reason.
Mhm. Honorable mention for me, just to get the suspense going. Honorable mention for me will be Resident Evil 3, the remake, which came out in 2020. That I did play that game. I own it. I did enjoy it, but I didn't enjoy it as nearly as much as I wanted to. And there are other games on this list that I had a first time playthrough. I had a better experience with, so that's why that one didn't make it to the list. I don't think for any reason that it's a bad game. I don't think that it was a bad remake. I don't think that the graphics weren't up to snuff. Like, it's a good game. It's just first time playthrough for the game. I wasn't getting what I wanted necessarily from it, as opposed to the other games that may or may not be on my list. So that's the reason for that. And another mention that didn't make it to my list would be Resident Evil Outbreak. That came out in 2003. I did play that later on. When Outbreak File 2 came out, I got to play that finally at a buddy's house because I didn't have a PlayStation 2 at the time. And I had a lot of fun with the game. It wasn't easy by any means, but I did have fun with it. It gave me some survival horror feels, especially at that time with the graphics and whatnot we had. So I did enjoy what I played. I didn't finish the game, because I was just playing it when I was going over my buddy's house to, stay the night and stuff. So it was really cool to see that game, but it didn't make my list because I wasn't having the fun I wanted to have with it, obviously, like I was just saying, and I didn't complete the game, so it didn't make the top.
Okay. Another one that got honorable mention for me would be the Resident Evil remake, which would have been the GameCube version where they redid the original Resident Evil. Again, didn't have a GameCube, didn't get to really check it out then.
Missed out.
It come out on Xbox later on, I believe. I own it, and I played it a little bit, but I didn't get to really get into it. So I didn't get to experience all the full. There was some changes from the original game and the remake, and I didn't get to fully experience it. So therefore, it didn't make my top 10, which if I would have played it all the way through or got to really enjoy it, I'm sure it would have been in my top 10 because, yeah. But those two get honorable mentions. And I guess we can go into 10. We could keep going on some other ones. There's obviously 31. There's a bunch I didn't play, and here I am like, you know what? I've played a lot of Resident Evil, and I have, but not as much as is out there because, damn. Number 10. Resident Evil 5.
All right.
Resident Evil 5. The reason it gets number 10 solely because I enjoyed the co-op. I enjoyed co-oping that with friends. There was a lot of fun memories of just stuff going on, running around, playing on Xbox with each other, and it was definitely more action. There was a lot of really goofy, cheesy stuff in that game. But all in all, I don't know how many times I went through it. I know I played through it, I think, solo the first time, and then I think I co-opted with a friend, and then I may have co-opted again with another friend. And I enjoyed that aspect, so it was a fun experience. So it gets the number 10 spot solely because of that.
That's fair, man. I think that's totally fair. Good pick, dude. For me, number 10. Number 10 for me is coming in with Resident Evil, the remake from 2003 on the GameCube that we just talked about. Resident Evil, the first one, obviously it's not my favorite Resident Evil, but it is one of my favorites. It's the game that popped everything off. It's the game that started the craze of survival horror games for me personally. That was the one that I played over the other survival horrors that were coming out around that time, and it helped me get into the mindset I needed to be in to start playing other games like Silent Hill, like Clock Tower, and Amnesia, like you name it. I started playing all those games because I had the familiarity with Resident Evil. The reason why Resident Evil, the original from '96, isn't on my list is because I didn't actually get to play the first Resident Evil. I only got to watch other kids play it because I didn't have a PlayStation at the time. And then once, the PS2 and GameCube came around, I got a GameCube And when Resident Evil 1 Remake came out in 03, I actually got to experience it at that time. And I'm not a big fan of tank controls, and everybody who's played Resident Evil knows about the tank controls and how that works. Not my favorite. I almost didn't play Resident Evil at all because of the controls, but once I got past that, I had a lot of fun with the game. It causes you to think. You have to save every chance you get, and then here we are talking about it today. It's been almost 30 years now, and we're still playing these games. So I really enjoyed Resident Evil, the remake from 2003 on GameCube, and it is number 10 on my list.
I want to throw a disclaimer out there before we go to 9. Neither one of us know our top 10. We have not told each other our top 10. We went in silent on this. So both of us are learning our top 10 simultaneously. So this ought to be interesting.
That's true.
You want me to read number 9?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Number 9, Resident Evil Code Veronica.
Nice.
Code Veronica. While I'm a little fuzzy on the game because I've played that a long time ago, I remember really enjoying it. You're Claire, right? You're Claire, and I believe Chris is there. It's like a whole bunch.
Yeah, he's in it. Claire is the character that you're playing, though, for sure.
Because she's on the front. Code Veronica, though, was fun. I do remember really enjoying the playthrough. I believe, I want to say me and possibly a family member played it together back then. It's an older one, but I really did enjoy it back then. And it's due for either a remake eventually or maybe even a replay. I have to go find it. I don't know. I don't even know where the hell I could find it. Maybe PlayStation Store?
I'm pretty sure you could buy it on the, if you have, so I know for PS4, PS5 owners, you can get it on the store for sure. I do know that you can do that
and replay it because it's been, when did Veronica come out? Where's your
Code Veronica came out in 2000.
So yeah, so 23 years ago that game. It's been a minute since I played it, but I do remember it. I enjoyed it. I didn't really have big qualms with it. It introduces or it has the twins. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't.
Oh shit.
Off the top of my head, no. I'm thinking of so much Resident Evil stuff. That's not what I'm thinking of exactly.
Code Veronica twins. Is it Ash? Code Veronica. What is their names? It's essentially like it has to do with whatchamacallit? Wesker, isn't it? Isn't it like where they got
the little girls? You mean
the what?
You talking about Lexa and Alfred?
Yes. Aren't they in Code Veronica?
Yeah, they are. I have to remember if it's Code Veronica or Code Veronica. I think what's the same thing. Yeah, they're in there though. The Ashford twins. You're talking about the Ashford twins.
Thank you. Yes, there we go. The name I could see them, but I couldn't think of their name. Yes. Yeah. But good game. That's my number 9. Code Veronica X, same shit. Like one thing.
All right, so my number 9, like I said, like you said before, Sin, we don't know each other's lists, so it's really fun hearing what your list is compared to what mine is. So my number 9 is actually Resident Evil 5.
Oh wow,
Resident Evil 5 from 2009. Here's the thing: the story for Resident Evil 5 wasn't my favorite.
No,
I don't think it was anybody's favorite, but I had so much fun playing that game. And that's why it's on this list.
Wasn't it the first one you could do, like, the main story, like, games that you could actually do co-op and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what happened.
The characters that you had were Chris Redfield, of course, and then you had Sheva. And the game takes place in Africa. And I remember thinking, like, we get to go to Africa in Resident Evil? I'm so ready for that. And then the person that you had with you reminded me of Ashley, but like if Ashley was like had a gun, So I thought that was really cool, and you could play her too. So I know a lot of the times if I were playing co-op with a buddy of mine, Justice, if you ever hear this, if I was playing a game with him, most of the time I would just choose Sheva just because, like I didn't mind. And I learned that if you're playing the game solo, a lot of the times Sheva's character would shoot and just like shoot them in the wrong spot and waste a bunch of ammo. But if you gave her a weapon that was made for distance, like a sniper, that she would only shoot when she had a good shot. at least for my game. And that's what I ended up doing because I'm not a sniper person. I like to get in close with a shotgun or a handgun and knock people out. But Sheva, like I said, if you give her a sniper, she's in the back, she's doing that, she's out of trouble for me. I don't have to save her nearly as much. It just worked out way better. So I kind of learned that tool of the trade playing the game, and I had a lot of fun playing that. Even the mercenaries mode that they had in it, so much fun for me. I ended up sinking a lot of hours into the game after completing the story. I played it a lot more because it was so much more fun after you had beat the story. But yeah, man, that was definitely number 9 for me.
Okay. All right. Number 8. So this one's a little tough because I kind of flip-flop on 8 and 7 a little bit. But I'm going to go with Resident Evil 3 Remake at number 8.
Okay.
And reason being, I had fun with it. I liked it. It looked good. I enjoyed it. Nemesis was the pain in the ass. I remember him from being in Resident Evil 3 when it first came out. It was short. I don't remember how long the original game was, but I know the remake was short. I felt like it was like 6 to 8 hours, maybe.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why the remake is way shorter than the original is because you don't have the tanky controls. You can actually just move in the game, so that definitely helps.
But yeah, coming in at number 8, Resident Evil 3 Remake. Go Jill.
Okay. That's actually really cool, man, to see that on the list. For me, coming in at number 8 was a game, one of the Resident Evils that you already mentioned, and my number 8 is Code Veronica from 2000. Same reasons, man. I played Code Veronica after I ended up retrospectively getting a PS2, and it was a lot of fun. It was a harder game for me because I didn't have any frame of reference going into that one. I didn't see anybody play it. I didn't know what I was getting into. I just knew that you were a different character. There were zombies again. I knew that Umbrella was behind some stuff and that we had to conserve as much ammo as possible. So I had a lot of fun playing that one, and that's one of the few games that, like I said, there was nobody really around me while I was playing it to kind of feed me information or what I should do, figuring out puzzles at the time, and I just went through it. Because I think when that game came out, I was 10, and I didn't get to play it until I was like, I don't know, 14, 15. So it had been out for a little while. I think Code Veronica X may have come out at that time, so I got to play that, and I had fun with it. But it wasn't the most fun that I've had in a Resident Evil game, but I definitely had fun. So that's why it comes in at number 8.
All right. Moving on to number 7. Number 7, Resident Evil 3. The original.
Nice. So you have the remake and then you have the original on there. Nice.
The only reason I put, and like I said, they kind of flip-flopped on them. The only reason, to me, I felt like Nemesis was just way more annoying and after me in the original. And I remember, maybe because I was younger, but I was just like, this damn Terminator dude chasing me down, like stressing me out the whole time, yelling stars, being annoying. But I remember not as in love with it as some of the others when I played it, but I did really enjoy it. Obviously, you get Jill Valentine, and she's one of my favorite characters. Jill's a beast. But yeah, Resident Evil 3. Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, I guess you say. Nemesis.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, for me, let's see. I don't want to say this wrong. Let me double check my list here. For me, what were we on? Number 7, right? Number 7 for me, I'm choosing Resident Evil 6.
Wow.
At number 7 is Resident Evil 6 from 2000 and when did that come out? 2012. So here's the thing. The game, the story is dumb. The story is so dumb for Resident Evil 6. I don't even care about what's happening. I'm just playing the game because the gameplay is kind of fun, and just going through waves and waves of zombies is fun, and then, or whatever they are. And then after you get past the story mode and you start playing like Mercenaries, I started really having fun with the game. And I remember the team ups for this one was a little weird. You had 3 separate stories, I want to say, plus the Ada story after you beat the game and got DLC and whatever. So you had Leon and you had Helena, and that was fun to play for the most part. The beginning of it felt like Resident Evil. It felt like a survival horror, which was awesome. Then you had Chris, and I don't remember the person he was partnered with. Pierce, I think, is his name. So you had Chris and Pierce. I played through that. That was super action heavy and ridiculous, akin to Resident Evil 5. And then you had Sherry Birkin and Jake Muller, who turns out to be, I think, spoiler alert if you haven't played the game, but he's Wesker's son. So playing as Sherry and Jake, Sherry really, really, really got on my fucking nerves. I couldn't stand playing with her. She had like the worst guns for me, except for like one. She had one gun that was really, really sweet. But other than that, playing as Jake was cool because he was a freaking superhero essentially. He had powers and stuff. So we're just getting way, way out of the realm of this game and how it works and how the gameplay usually goes. And then you had Ada, who's all by herself because, of course, she is. And like I said, man, after you get past the stories, like I couldn't really play that game by myself. I needed a person to play because the AI was terrible. So if you have a person to play with you to get through the stuff, it's cool. But after you get past that, you do like New Game Plus, you start doing Mercenaries and all that. That's when the game really opened up for me personally, and I started having fun with it. And that's why it secured its spot at number 7 for me because, like I said, aside from the story and past that, I really started having fun with the game. I really started having fun with what the characters could do because everybody had their own thing, and I enjoyed that.
Okay. So we're already to number 6, almost halfway through. Number 6 was a game that rekindled some Resident Evil love for me, and that would be Resident Evil 7. It was a first-person game, which was a change. You met Ethan. You met his crazy-ass wife that I would have left in the swamp probably. Sorry, Mrs. Sin. But I really enjoyed it. The family was creepy. I loved it. It, honest to God, gave me PT vibes. For those that played PT on PS4 when the demo was out, when that was rumored, when it was going to be Silent Hills, I think was going to be the name. But the demo was called PT. It just, the first person going around, the dad and all them busting through walls, the family being creepy. Game got a little crazy at the end, had a nice twist, but I really liked Resident Evil 7. And I remember the missus would not let me play it without her. She was so engrossed. That might have been her first Resident Evil that she watched or like experienced, and she was so hooked. She was like, "Can we play it? Go play it." She wouldn't play it. She don't like stuff chasing her and everything, but she wanted me to play it, and she was into it. But number 7 takes the number 6 spot.
I mean, it's cool here. Like I said, man, I think my number 6 for me. I don't know why I said my number 6 for me. Like that didn't make any sense. But anyway, coming in number 6 for me is Resident Evil 0, the HD remaster, which came out in 2016. Resident Evil 0 was one of those games that I was like, I don't really want to play this. I don't care about prequels. I'm good. I ended up playing it, and like, in a nutshell, y'all, the game was just fucking fun, man. I didn't care about the story anymore. I didn't care about what characters I was playing as. I just wanted to play the game, and it took you back to, typical Resident Evil stuff with the puzzles and what's going on with the games. I just enjoyed it. It was just fun. It put me back in the mood for Resident Evil after playing Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 5, and so on. So I really, really enjoyed my time with the remaster, the HD remaster for Resident Evil 0. And like I said, short and sweet for that one. That was my number 6.
Okay, so we're to 5. We're halfway through it, and that would be Resident Evil 8, Village. And the reason I put that over 7 is because it has freaking werewolves. Werewolves are going to get points for me regardless. But I did enjoy it. I enjoyed Lady D. I enjoyed the vampires. I enjoyed more of Ethan's story and how it all developed. The creepy village, all the stuff. Like, I enjoyed the game. I had a really good time playing through Resident Evil Village. I've really enjoyed where they've kind of took the franchise, and the last 2 games have been fun for me. So it takes my number 5 spot.
Okay. Number 5 for me, that's already on your list, I believe. But for me, number 5 is going to be Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 7 is a little higher on my list because, like I said, that was a return to form when it came to survival horror. Completely different characters, completely different story, all new everything in this.
Revamp of the franchise, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. When I started it, I was really into it. I got a little bit less so into it after you get into the game more because there are some differences in that game. That don't really set well with me. And the family, like I said, was creepy. It's one of the scariest Resident Evil games that's ever come out, for sure. It might actually be the scariest one.
I think it might be the scariest. Like, if you're looking at it from a pure horror standpoint, it might be. Because the first, half to 3/4 of the game is pretty damn creepy.
Mm-hmm. And all the stuff with the family and everything's molded over and all that stuff, like, I really, really enjoyed that. I will say after a while it kind of loses its merit, because they're essentially fucking indestructible after a certain point. So that gets to be really, really annoying, and it starts to be a little less fun as you move on. But I can't deny that all new everything for the Resident Evil franchise fucking worked out. We got away from typical zombies. We got away from the typical titular characters that we're used to. There's no Chris, there's no Leon, there's no Ava. For the most part, we got away from that in Resident Evil 7, and we started just doing something different. And like I said, really enjoyed it. It came out at the time, like the newest system that was out. So, I mean, I had, like I said, a lot of fun with that.
It breathed life into the franchise that it desperately needed.
It was scary as piss, dude. Like, god dang. I can't explain to you how. Just let me say it this way: it's not just that the game is scary; it's really creepy. Everything about it is really creepy because every single Resident Evil has something about it that's creepy or that can scare a person. But like this one, man, like the whole game, like there's no let up for that, and I enjoyed that. And like you said, it did breathe a breath of fresh air back into the game. So number 5 for me. Resident Evil 7, also known as Biohazard, which is the original name for Resident Evil.
True. Fun fact for you all. Number 4. So this game, there's a reason it gets number 4, and it's kind of a dumb reason. And the dumb reason is I never actually physically owned this game. Therefore, I had to borrow it from my cousin, and in all of his glory, shout out Living TJ, the fool screwed up a disc or messed up a disc, or he had borrowed it for somebody. I don't know how it happened, but it was a 2-disc game, and I couldn't play the other side of the damn disc. So, coming in number 4 is Resident Evil 2. I only got to play Leon's side. I never got to play Claire's, ever. And I always be like, bro, I want to play Claire's. I don't have the disc. Or the disc was jacked up or something happened. I was like, man, come on. So, Resident Evil 2 is one of my favorites. I loved it. I'll never forget being introduced to a liquor for the first time, or Mr. X, or any of the fun stuff.
Did you say introduced to liquor for the first time?
Yeah, the liquor. The first time you meet a liquor in Resident.
Oh, okay. You're talking about in the game, the liquors. I thought you meant like
in the game. Well,
alcohol.
We're talking about Resident Evil. Where is your mind?
I know. I was like, what does alcohol have to do with Resident Evil? I was so confused.
Liquors, like the creature. But when you meet them, it's iconic moments. Resident Evil 2 gets it. Only reason it has to take a fall from grace is thanks to TJ and me, being a kid at the time and not being able to afford my own damn game and borrowing my cousin's. Actually, I don't even know if it was his. He might have been borrowing it from somebody else. I don't know what happened. I don't know how this came about, but I never got to play the other disc because you had Leon and you had Claire. And you get separated. And you get to play either story. And I didn't get to play the one story, and I was always mad as hell about it.
That's hilarious, man.
I also know he cut his hair to look like Leon.
That's really, really funny.
He used to have the sweet, bowl cut thing going when he was a kid. He had the Leon Kennedy haircut. It's my first day.
Your TJ had that?
Yeah.
That's funny, man.
I need
That's
to find
funny.
a
I'm gonna have
picture.
to. Yeah, we got to see that. We got to see that.
All right, so that's my number 4. What do you got?
For me, number 4 is actually Resident Evil Village, man. Right above Resident Evil 7 for similar reasons. You also had.
If you say werewolves, you're gonna. You can tell we like werewolves. The sole reason you like a game better than another game is because it had a werewolf in it, or werewolves.
It had werewolves in it, and it had Lady, what's her name?
Lady D was awesome. I actually really like Lady D.
Lady D, man.
Honestly, Village
Lady D was in the game.
Okay, I'm taking your spot, sorry.
So you had that was cool. And there was like some of the boss fights in that game were really, really fun. Some of the boss battles were a lot of fun. And I will say this, dude, the werewolves really started messing me up. Like it got bad. It got bad.
Werewolves. There was a lot of stuff in that game. They just did a good job. It was a village. You weren't like secluded to a house in like a little swamp area. You were in this whole dang village of just badness. It was a good playthrough though. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So 8 is up there for you. 8 is at number 4. That's pretty high. That's honestly just one spot below mine, so it's not like a huge difference. So that brings us to number 3.
Number 3?
All right, and this is where we make Christian mad. Because we say number 3, Resident Evil, Operation Raccoon City.
Look, I'm not even taking the bait for that. I'm not even doing it.
I'm just kidding. That game was actually boo-boo shoes. I cannot justify helping the game. I think I beat it, but I'm pretty sure I cussed myself the entire time I played it. Like, why am I playing this bullshit? Like, I was so damn mad the whole game. My number 3, in all seriousness, Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 change. So, Resident Evil was survival horror. 3 started kind of changing out of that a little bit. 4 definitely went a little more action. But 4 had some very memorable moments. One of the reasons I'm super excited to play the remake, and I have a feeling the remake is going to instantly, from everything I've seen review-wise, and as long as they stay true to it, I think the remake will get in my top 10, top 5 probably pretty easy for 4. 4 had a lot of awesome moments. The chainsaw guy at the beginning. What was the lake monster? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, dude. Shooting the water unsolicited, dude. Oh my god.
There was so much, but you got to play as Leon for the first time since 2. They brought him back. It's definitely not his first day anymore. Leon's leveled up in life a little bit, and it's a good game. Resident Evil 4 is fun. It is a really fun game. No complaints. Went through it a couple times probably. I feel like we started playing at one point.
I'll talk about it. It's on my list. I'll definitely get into it.
But Resident Evil 4 takes the cake for number 3.
Takes your number 3 spot?
Yep.
All right, man. Well, I'm going to just get right into it. My number 3 is also Resident Evil 4 from 2005. Let me explain something to you. Resident Evil 4 was one of the most... It's one of the best times I had playing a game, especially a game where you are a character. It was the first game I played that I remember over the shoulder. The gameplay was different from the other Resident Evils. It started off very much survival horror. They brought back a character that I actually really liked to play, which was Leon, which you just mentioned. It did fall short a couple of areas where you had to escort Ashley around and she could get shot and killed. She got kidnapped alive. If they picked her up and took her to another room, you would automatically lose. But like it forced you to play the game a little differently. It forced you to really think about stuff you were doing. It did still have puzzles. It did still have really cool boss battles. There was a part in the game where you could save a fucking dog, and then the dog would come back and help you against El Gigante. Like so many things happening in this game, it just made it worth it. It was the first game that I also remember, one of the first, because you just mentioned Resident Evil 2. But with this game, this is the first game on the GameCube. Because I played it originally on the GameCube when it came out, and it was a 2-disc game. And I remember beating the first disc and being like, man, I'm really doing it. Like, I'm getting past this game with like no help. This is amazing. Because that's back in the day when, kids would buy the guidebook to a game and then read what you're supposed to do for everything. And then that's how you would beat a lot of games. And then you would borrow that stuff. Like, I didn't have the guidebook. I remember wanting the guidebook, but not because I wanted to know how to beat the game. I literally just wanted to draw the pictures in it because instead of doing homework, I'm drawing and doodling in all my workbooks. But I had so much fun with Resident Evil 4, and I'll tell you this too. After, fighting Sadler, Salazar, El Gigante, those weird bug creatures that turned invisible, the regenerating things, like, I could go on. You got the scope that let you see through people. That was like thermals. You could, all that stuff. The Ganados that you have to go through, going from the village to the castle and all that stuff. Like, that game had so much going for it. I played the shit out of it. I played it several times. That was one of the first games that I beat, and then immediately started playing again with New Game Plus. New Game Plus, you got a new weapon. You could get the typewriter, which was a machine gun that had infinite ammo, or you could get the rocket launcher that never ran out of ammo. And I remember getting the typewriter because I didn't want to keep blowing myself up. And I played the shit out of that game. Krauser's boss fight was in there. I played that game for 10 years, and then I found out that you could fight him with just your knife. Had no idea. That was the first game that gave you jump scares when you thought you were safe. You're opening a box with your knife or whatever to hopefully get ammo or money, and there would be snakes in there, dude. And they could jump out and fucking bite you, and if you killed a snake, it would have an egg from where it eaten a chicken or an egg or whatever. Like, it has so much going for it. I played it so many times trying to get better scores, playing mercenaries, trying to get better scores, better characters, better costumes. And then they re-released the game on PlayStation 2, and they put out extra guns and stuff in there, so I even played it once on that. But yeah, dude, that's the only game aside from the Mass Effect franchise that I've played several times and had fun each time playing it. So I can't speak highly enough of Resident Evil 4. It was definitely one of my favorite games of all time.
Do you think Remake will be in your top 3?
We'll get to it.
Oh, okay. I see how you're gonna do. All right. So you ready for number 2? Top 2.
I'm ready for number 2. Top 2.
Dramatic drum roll. All right. Coming in at number 2 for me, Resident Evil 2 Remake.
That's number 2.
That's number 2.
Nice. That's awesome, man.
Resident Evil 2 Remake was everything I wanted in Resident Evil 2 Remake to be. First off, I had to play Claire, which I didn't get to do in Resident Evil 2.
Finally, right? Finally.
Yeah, and I remember playing through it and just loving it. Just being, I'm pretty sure I played through it. I think I did like a special thing on stream where we just did like a super long stream. There was incentives, and we went forever, and we played, and I beat the game, and then all on one stream, and then I started the next playthrough of playing as, I think I might have done Claire first, and then I started playing as Leon or something. Or it might have been vice versa. And I got like halfway through the game. Like, that's how long of a stream it was because I couldn't stop. Like, I literally was dead-ass tired. But I was so into it and so happy to be playing it. I remember doing all the modes afterwards. Was it Mercenaries and running through so you could get tofu and all the stuff. Just, I loved it. I really did. I thoroughly enjoyed the game. It was fantastic. The nostalgia moments for different things were wonderful, and they did a great job with it. And so it gets my number 2 spot. My 2 spot.
Well, you're going to be surprised because my number 2 spot is also Resident Evil 2, the remake from 2019. That I had so much fun with that. I had so much fun with that game. I was actually playing that with my fiance. This was early when we started dating, actually. I think this was the first year that we were dating, or second year that we were dating. We were playing this. I was playing and she was watching, and she got so fucking scared at one part. She was like, fuck it, I'm going to bed. And I'll never forget that. I was like, you just going to leave me? And she was like, yeah, I'm out. And she just went upstairs and went straight to sleep, dude. And I was like, damn.
Does she enjoy watching the Resident Evil games?
And she actually only watched me play Resident Evil 2. She never watched any of the other ones. So I'm going to try really hard this coming weekend to get her to watch at least some of Resident Evil 4. But she definitely watched me play Resident Evil 2, and we both had a really good time. It got to the point to where like we're both screaming at the TV, and like I would miss, and she'd be like, "Shoot him in the head!" I was like, "I'm trying. I'm out of ammo." Like it was insane, dude. We had so much fun playing this game, and like her like backseat gaming was the best, dude. It was the fucking best, and that just added to the experience of playing the remake for Resident Evil 2, which I still own. It's still in the house somewhere. I might even pop it in and try to play it again just because, until tomorrow when I'm doing something else. But the Resident Evil 2 remake was the game that got me back into Resident Evil again. Like I had fun with Resident Evil 7. Village hadn't come out yet, and I wasn't really excited to continue that story. Like I had fun in it, but it was like a one and done for me. But when I played Resident Evil 2, I was like, I want them to make Resident Evil 3 the remake just so they can justify making Resident Evil 4 the remake, because Resident Evil 4 was my favorite. So playing Resident Evil 2, the remake, dude, I like I said, I had so much fun with that game. I was scared. I had fun. It was sweaty. I played it in the dark pretty much every time I played it. I can't explain to you enough in this one podcast, because I know we're running low on time, but like I had so much fun playing that game. I played the hell out of it. I really, really enjoyed it. And after I beat the story, I think I did Claire first. After I beat the story for Claire, I was like, I just need a break. I can't go straight into Leon. I need a break, like, because I knew that Leon didn't have cool guns. Nothing was upgraded, and I had to start all the way over in the police station. I just wasn't prepared to fight Lickers again. I wasn't prepared to fight Mr. Titan again. Mr. X, excuse me. I wasn't ready for any of that again. I had just done it. I was breathing easy, so I just needed to take a couple days off to just relax and then come back and play the game some more. But dude, Resident Evil 2 remake was one of the best remakes at the time that I had played, and I really enjoyed it. It was better than 3, hands down. It was so fun. The graphics were on point. I loved it, 100%. Which leads us to number 1.
It's funny that your fiance watched it. So, like I mentioned back, I think on number 6, Resident Evil 7 was her introduction to Resident Evil, and then Resident Evil 2 would have been the next one to come out, the remake. And I remember she was like, she missed most of the stream because she was asleep when it came out. So I was grinding all night playing. I couldn't stop. So she ended up seeing most of the other playthrough, and then we had to play through again so she could see all the stuff. Yeah. And she was super hooked. And then obviously Resident Evil 3 remake, she's watched playthrough, and then Resident Evil Village. So she's been really enjoying just watching them. But it is time for number 1. That's right. Number 1 for me is Resident Evil, the original, the OG. And the reason
from 96
for this, I have played through that game, the original, as a kid so damn many times. Solo with my cousin, not the living TJ, another cousin. I remember the heartbreak of one of the playthroughs. We didn't rescue Jill from a jail cell, and she just died. And I remember finishing the game thinking, I fucked up. Jill's down there just dying. And I was heartbroken, so I had to play through again. I remember the glorious moment when a rocket launcher falls from a helicopter so you can blow up the tyrant and just finish him once and for all. The iconic scene of the zombie turning around that's on everything now. The damn snake. One of the most iconic moments that I've talked about a few times. I've talked about it on stream and stuff, but one thing that will forever stand out. You talked about gaming guides. Well, back in this time, folks, you didn't really go to the internet to search for walkthroughs and shit. And there was these things called gaming magazines. Yes, that's right, where I'm showing age. But there was one called Game Pro, and it had the Resident Evil walkthrough. And it essentially told you what you need to do. And there come a part where you had this crazy long cutscene. And at the time, the graphics were cool. And it was where you were introduced to a hunter for the first time. And the damn frog hands, and I'm jumping around with its claws. and it said, I believe we had a bazooka, and I think it said like 1 shot. Or no, it was 2 shots or something. I don't know. It gave me something, and it was like, you just need 1 or 2 shots, and the hunter's gone, and you have dispersed your first hunter. And I was like, easy. Well, the camera angle is very weird because you're looking kind of down this weird hall. And I remember, bam, knocked him down. I'm like, yeah. And me and my cousin are playing. And then, bam, finish him off. I'm like, that's nothing. Literally turn my character to the side. And as they turn and start to walk down the hallway, the hunter lunges forward, swiping my head, decapitates me. Blood squirts. You died. Pop on the screen. And little Sin screams. Because my ass thought he was dead, and I wasn't expected to get damn decapitated. I scream, my cousin screams, we run off and go find my dad and stuff, and we're just like explaining it, and he's like, what the hell are y'all talking about? So when we come back the next time and did continue, I unloaded way too much ammo on the hunter to ensure that they weren't getting up. And there's just so many moments like that of us playing through the original Resident Evil that it forever will have a special place in my heart, and it takes my number 1 spot.
That's awesome, man. That's a good story. My story isn't nearly as cool as that one is. So I apologize in advance for any of you who might think that my number 1 spot isn't earned, but trust me, it's earned. Number 1 for me is Resident Evil 4 remake that comes out tomorrow, baby!
How are you going to do a number 1 with a game that's not even out yet? Please explain yourself.
Listen, if you played the demo, which Moi has, then that's all you need. That's all you fucking need. The game was dope. It gave me everything I needed the game to be. It's a remake of the game. We get the same characters. We get about the same story. However, the gameplay upgraded, the graphics upgraded, the combat upgraded, the guns upgraded. It feels like what I felt like when I was playing the Resident Evil 2 remake that I just explained was so good in 2019. Yet they've taken my favorite of the Resident Evil games and have done the same thing to that. And that's exactly what I wanted. So, like I said, just playing that demo, I was like, I'm 100% in. I'm sold. Like, this is great. I can't wait. Immediately went and paid the game off right after playing the demo. I was like, this is the one, man. This is it. The fact that you can just fucking block stuff with your knife in this game. Somebody's throwing some shit at you, bam, block up the knife. As long as you do it at the right time, of course, because I fucked up and didn't do it the right time a bunch. But if it's so satisfying, being Leon again, back in that dusty brown jacket again, saving Ashley's dumbass again, talking to Hannigan, who's got a different character model, which is awesome, and she moves around. She's not just a static image on your walkie-talkie. Like, all of that stuff feels so good this time around. There's some drawbacks, like saving the dog you don't get to do. Like, that really fucking sucks. It really does. But it doesn't take away from the fun of the game. It's so good. And yes, I will be playing it tomorrow as soon as possible. I'd play it tonight at midnight if I could, but I have a full-time job and I can't do that. So here we are. But I'm so ready. I'm so excited. I have stuff to do tomorrow night before I actually play the game. I cannot wait for my personal stuff to be over with so I can go directly into playing the game for the rest of the night. Like, I'm going to stay up all fucking night playing this shit. I can't wait, dude. Like, you don't understand. And I've played the demo, so I know what I'm getting into. I know what type of game I'm getting, which is the same type of situation that we both got into playing the Resident Evil 2 remake. We're doing it again with Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 being one of my favorite games of all time. I can only imagine how I'm going to feel when I finally get to the end of this version of Resident Evil 4. Then I get to play the Mercenary.
Number 2 and Resident Evil 4 remake is your number 1?
Number 1.
Okay. 4 was 2, though, right? The original?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hell yeah. I think
Well, technically-
I think the remake's gonna be good. I have zero doubt that the 4 remake won't be a top 3 Resident Evil game for me probably all time.
My number 2 was Resident Evil 2, but it was the remake
Do what?
specifically.
Oh,
it was the
that's right.
remake
4
for
was
Resident Evil
3.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. For me, so just going down the list, you got, for me, Resident Evil 4 remake, Resident Evil 2 remake, Resident Evil 4 original, Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 0 HD remaster, Resident Evil 6, Resident Evil Code Veronica, Resident Evil 5, and number 10 is the Resident Evil original remake from 03.
Okay. Going down my list, Resident Evil the original, Resident Evil 2 remake, Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 8 Village, Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 3, Resident Evil 3 remake, Code Veronica, and Resident Evil 5.
Nice.
So we got, that's our top 10. We would love to know, what's your top 10? Those that play Resident Evil out there, or what's your top 3 at least? Or top 1? Let us know. I want to know what everybody thinks. What Resident Evil is your all-time favorite? What is your top 10? What did you think about our list? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Because we're right. In our own heads, at least. We're right.
Can't argue. We're right.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
But that's it for this week. It's been a fun one doing Resident Evil. And it's time that we roll into the last call question. So,
pass the whiskey.
That's right. Pass your whiskeys. Get them ready.
Whiskey!
All right. This week's last call question is, Christian, do you have it? Do you want me to?
Yeah. This week's question is, who's your favorite main character from the Resident Evil franchise, and who is your favorite side character from the Resident Evil franchise?
I want to say Leon for main character first, but I feel like that's the easy answer.
Doesn't make it wrong.
But I also want to say Chris, because I do love Chris, but Chris gets knocked back a little bit because of Resident Evil 5 and punching a damn boulder. That kind of messes it up for me a little bit with him. So he slips. So I'm going to go, I really do love Claire. Claire's a badass. I want to say Claire, but at the same time, with Resident Evil 4 coming out, I kind of wanted to say Leon.
Only say it if you feel it in your heart, bruh.
It's a toss-up between them. I do like Jill a lot, too. It's a problem.
Jill's dope.
Jill is
Except
dope.
for in 5.
Jill
Jill's
Valentine.
dope.
It's such a cool name. Jill Valentine. Let's go with Jill. Honestly, it could be a toss-up between those three. Jill, Leon, and Claire. But I'm going to say Jill.
What about your side character?
Side character, Barry. Don't even have to think about it.
Okay. Wasn't expecting that
I
at all.
can't think of his
all right.
last name off the top of my head.
It's all good.
But
For
Barry,
me,
I don't know why.
favorite
Barry
main
had that damn
character-
revolver. Especially in 1. That revolver went ham. And I was just like, Barry got that. He got that piece over there.
My favorite main character, without a shadow of a doubt, is Leon. Like, even back when I played the original Resident Evil 2, I liked Leon because he was a reflection of, like, us, you know? Like, Chris was always going to be, like, the military-type man. So, I mean, he was cool, but he wasn't my favorite. He was cool, but not my favorite. He's more like, you know, Captain America, I guess. Then you had Leon, who was a little bit more green. Obviously, it was his first day on the job, and then this happened. So it's a person that's got shit luck going into this Raccoon City abomination and then just surviving, because most people didn't. I really, really like that.
Chris got
And then as
cooler
far
in
as
the newer
side
games,
characters-
I like Chris's new role, like how he's kind of evolved to like this darker character a little bit.
You've seen some shit, man.
Yeah.
Been through some things. But side character, man, like, honestly, I really enjoy. Remember Sheva from Resident Evil 5? Like, to me, she's a side character because she's never been in any of the other games. She was only in that one, and she was loosely a main character because everybody was playing Chris, right? But I really, really enjoyed Sheva. I liked her character design. I liked her character. I liked the voice actress who played her. Like, all that stuff. I really enjoyed that. And I wanted to see her come back in other games, but she never did. And I always just assumed it was because people shit on Resident Evil 5, but like Chris came back a few times because, I mean, spoiler alert, if you haven't finished Village and 7, like, he makes an appearance in those games as well. So, like, I really wanted to see Sheva come back. But if I can't pick Sheva as another side character, there are 2 honorable mentions, man. Like, Ava is in those games, especially the Leon-based games, and she's fun because she just reminds me of Catwoman. But there's never been another character like the Merchant from Resident Evil 4.
Oh my god.
I'll buy it at a high price. Thank you. Like, that's been burned in my memory since I played that game in 2005. He has been permanently lodged into my mind, and I'll never forget him, dude. I'll never forget him. He was the best merchant that we gotten in all the games, even over the one we got in Resident Evil Village. Like, I'll die on that hill, and I really hope that they bring him back in Resident Evil 4. I'll let you know tomorrow in real life, Sin. But like, I can't wait, dude. I'm so excited to hear this dude again. Stranger. Like, I can't wait. I'm so excited.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed Resident Evil episode, essentially. It's been fun for us going through this, going down memory lane and checking out these. So if you enjoyed it, let us know. Do you want us to rank more games like this and go down through some franchises? Or rank movies, or do all kinds of stuff? Because honestly, this is really fun. I do enjoy doing this style of content, and it's interesting to see where we put stuff, because we don't tell each other ahead of time, which is probably not the best for, scripting out a podcast. And we kind of just wing it and announce them on the fly on the podcast live when we do it. So that's fun. But that's it for this episode. We appreciate you being here. Let us know what you think. Do you agree with our answers? What's your favorite Resident Evil? What's your top 3? What's your top 5? What's your top 10? Let us know any of those if you haven't played all of them or whatever. Or if you're not into Resident Evil, let us know in the comments. We like to hear your responses. New episodes are every Wednesday, 8 a.m. Central Time on Apple, Spotify, Google, Anchor.fm, Overcast, all the stuff. 8 a.m. Central Time. Rate 5 stars, share, subscribe, follow, all the good stuff. Video versions on YouTube, youtube.com/IamSinister. 8 a.m. every Wednesday. That's right, weekly episodic stuff. Go subscribe, thumbs up, talk to us, comment, let us know. All the good stuff. You can also find us on the social media sites at Sippin With Sin, SIPPIN with Sin, on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Hit us up there. It's where you can hit us up with last call questions, all that good stuff and things, or Sinister Tales, or just let us know about your Resident Evil stuff. You can submit your Sinister Tales and last call also on Guilded if one of those places didn't work. Guilded.gg/SinisterPack in the application put from the podcast, and that is a good way to get in touch with us. There's a whole section dedicated to the podcast there. So do that. You can find me on my personal socials at Twitter and Instagram at IamSinisterTV. And you can find me streaming on twitch.tv/IamSinisterTV. You can find me on TikTok at IamSinisterTV. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/IamSinisterTV. And now you can find me now streaming some on Kick at kick.com/IamSinister. So come hang out over there. Let me know what you think about it and say hello. Say you're from the podcast. Love to meet you. Love to talk to you. And Christian, where can the lovely folks find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram at Venom Inc., all one word. Also at Horrorverse Pod on all the socials as well.
All right. Awesome. Well, you don't have to go home, ladies and gentlemen, but you got to get the hell out of here. Thanks for listening for another week. We will see you guys next week for more fun stuff. I hope you have a good one, and it's time for Christian to shut this thing down.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to yet another episode of Sipping With Sin. Be sure to leave a 5-star review, click that like button, leave some comments in the comments section below if you are watching on YouTube. But most importantly, guys, be safe and abide by the 3 things that I always tell you at the end of every podcast. Don't get gutted.
That's right. See you guys next week.